Good morning, everyone. It is October the 21st, 2016, and today is option expiration for treasuries. And it's a real tight range for the 10-year. It's 130 to 130 and a half. And yesterday's play on the 30-year was 165 to 167. And for the entire structure, it's 165 to 168. So I would expect the 30-year to close above 165 and the 10-year to close at 130.08 when it's all said and done. Okay, we're definitely dealing with a B right here. You can just see it. But we're very, very close to longer-term support, which is down here in this 129 area, 129.16. So we're close to support, and if the Fed policy, if they don't raise, I think the interest rate increase for December has already been priced into the market. So I don't think there's a lot of downside left, but we're definitely dealing with a B, and you can see right here that 130.16 is pretty good resistance. So going to be hard to break the trading range without a new piece of news, and given the fact that the market's assigning a 70% probability to a rate increase come December. And if that does occur, I'm sure the language for 2017 will be, we have raised interest rates now, thought everything was right to do such, but we don't plan on raising interest rates quickly in the future. And Ray Dalio puts out periodically regular articles about if the Fed raises interest rates by 1 full percent, and he's always said that a 25, 50 basis point increase in interest rates wouldn't change anything, but he said if they raise it by a full percent, our economy will go into a depression. Now, whether that's true or not remains to be seen, but that's probably pretty close to the institutional thinking out there. The institutions, most people think they're the smartest, brightest people in the world, but their compensation is based on their performance relative to their peers' performance. And they do get a herd mentality. And you hear about window dressing at the end of the quarter, end of the year. They do that because they all run in a very, very tight circle, and their evaluations are based on what they do compared to their other ones. And if everybody's in the same positions, has the same strategy, then it's hard to get fired quickly. Over time you might, but it won't happen overnight. And that's how that mindset develops. So 12 to 16 is resistance, and so far the buck to 04 is support. It'd be nice to sell 15s and buy 01s. That, if you look at the structure, that's what you'd like to do. Volume, just look at where volume is of late, and it looks like it's probably in the 130.08, which also happens to be where the options market tells us the market's going to close today. So maybe a run down to get stops below 130, perhaps a run up to get stops above 116, but with the idea that the option market makers will run the market back to 8 for today's close is what's going to drive me. No news to speak of overnight. Baker Hughes rig count 709 last. My guess is that number's going to get bigger as the price of oil looks like it's stabilizing. So first sells 11 to 15. Second sells 19 to 23. On the buy side, 1 to 5. We've been a broken record the whole week. And then 25 to 29 for buy 2. Now, we don't spend a lot of time intraday with the 10-year, and everybody, well, why do we even bother covering the 10-year? And the reason for that is that's where the volume is. It's where the hedge is. It's where the weight of the market is. And it's the same thing. Why don't you cover the NASDAQ or the Dow futures or the Russell futures contract? Because if for whatever the reason, you want to trade those. And the reason is the volume's in the S&P 500. It's not in those, so you have to go to, if you're basing your trading ideas on volume analysis, you got to go to where the volume is. It's pretty simple. Okay, looking at the 30-year, the NIB spread widened a little bit overnight, but we're in the same situation where we've got resistance starts at 28 to the buck. So 3 to 7 is sell 1. 15 to 19, sell 2. Might take an 11, 12, get in, who knows. But we've got this high over here at 16, leaning up against that. To the downside right here, 12 to 16 is definitely support. Might be as high as 20. Bottom of value would have us in at 17, so we'll put support 12 to 16, number 1. Buy 5s to 9s, might get lucky buying against the buck. Buy 29s to 01s for number 2. Okay, looking at gold, pretty much unchanged overnight, or it was when I looked at it this morning. We had the close. We had a 60 to 62 buy yesterday, and the low was right at 62, so that looks reasonable again this morning. Might have to pay up, but we'll get started at 60 to 62. Buy 5, 57 for buy 2. On the sell side, 68 to 70. Then our 74, 76. Don't think there's a lot. We might have a $5 range in gold today. When there's no news and overnight activity is pretty quiet, a lot of time that's what we look for. Okay, the consensus is that the European Central Bank will not be changed. They'll leave it the same. They'll extend it come December, but the March 17th date, the twisting of the portfolio duration from longer term to shorter term, what bonds that they will be actually allowed to buy, everything's up the table. Will the interest rates be kept the same? And Europe's just not in a position to do anything when you look at the invasion, the Muslim invasion that's going on the continent right now. And the real reason that all those governments afford all these planners, they sit there and they look at the demographics, they look at their aging population, they look at they can't replace. Birth rates in some European countries are 1.3, and it takes 2.1 to maintain your population. So we're going to import Muslims. The problem is the Muslim philosophy, the Muslim politics, the Muslim thoughts on governance are antithetical to what the European is. Thoughts on religion. Religion has probably died in Europe for the most part. It's probably going to come back as things get tougher, but so the Muslims supposedly will solve their population problems. The problem is getting them to assimilate in the population. And I remember traveling in the 70s. Germany let Turks come in. That was their favorite group. Obviously, France would be taking the Algerians. And, that was their favorite group. But the Turks did the menial task. They were looked down upon. They were discriminated against. They were put into ghettos, led from our own ghettos. And so this idea of assimilation, very, very difficult to do in Europe, much more difficult than it is in the United States. And so that's what the problem is. So the point is, will the EU be able to change anything? They probably can't. So here we are. We're right at support. Stops below 109. Let's buy one. Then 875. I don't think we've got a lot of movement today, but our play will be for stops below 109. Sell 125. Sell 250. One of the things countries can't overcome is their birth rate. And if you're not replacing your population, who's going to fund all these grandiose welfare schemes? Nobody. So what happens to those people that you've made promises to? And they march in Europe. They don't screw around. Their civil disobedience can really get amped up quickly, and it goes beyond marching. We're pretty docile in America, but that is not so in Europe. Okay, crude oil. Last night, Russia said, "Oh yeah, we could agree to production cuts come November." So that game's not going to change, and they can take the market down and they can run it up rhetorically, and they don't have to cut production. And it's in their best interest to keep prices high right here so they can sell as much as they can, because they may not get an agreement in November. So we liked the buy yesterday. That 50-50 area is where we were looking to get long. We were hoping to buy the 25 level, and it stopped at 34. On the sell side, 51 and a quarter. So sell 1, 51, 51.25. 51.50, 51.75, sell 2. On the buy side, 50 and a quarter, 50.50, buy 1. I look for kind of a quiet day in crude. And then 49.75, 50 for buy 2. Just how do you pay for it, Jeff? The retirement programs. We'll tax the robots. I like that. Every contract is hedged against the 10-year, Charles, but when you're dealing in a 2-year issue or a 5-year issue, you also have the 2 and the 5-year that you can hedge with. But the 30-year, the hedging in the 30-year is actually done in the 10-year. It's not done in the 30-year. Perhaps, Jeff, the new boogeyman is going to be robots. George Carlin would have fun with that one, wouldn't he? You could just hear his voice now going off on robots. And the evil people in the world will be those that build and sell robots. Boy, that Tesla car that the video has gone viral on was absolutely amazing. And parking spots, handicapped parking, walkways. I mean, it was. I could get into something like that. Might be able to leave the house at midnight and drive all the way to Denver, sleep all the way out, and arrive fresh and ready to go, right? Used to be able to do those all-night trips. Now, for probably the last 10-15 years, 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm looking for a motel. And I can get up at 4 or 5 and do it on the other end, but can't go all night anymore. Don't have to either. Okay, the E-mini is definitely a B. It is pointed lower. Stops beneath 27 are within reach. maybe below 25, so we'll put 25, 27 by 1. If the market's going to move lower today and have some volatility, perhaps it is the stock market. And then 20 to 22 for buy 2. On the sell side, 34, 36. And then 39.41. So we've got sellers 40 to 45 right now, and we have had buyers 25 to 30. I'm guessing they're going to test the low end of the range first, then probably find support beneath 25. Okay, I'll take a bit to get everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that. I will be back as soon as possible.